Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking.
I have to
I'm
weigh
speaking.
in.
The president wanted people to remain calm.
Wait,
I'm speaking.
it'd be important if you said the truth. Yes.
If you don't mind letting me finish, I'm about to.
Hey guys, and welcome to the podcast. I'm on X, and let's dive in. So, of course, everybody is commenting and giving their 2 cents today, post-debate, and I'm going to do the same thing. But what I want to actually look at is I want to take this from a different angle instead of commenting so much on what I think, which is going to happen today, by the way. I first want to kind of take a look at how this is being reported. So what I've done right now is I've gone ahead and I've done a search for Harris-Trump debate. Today's the 12th of September. And let's see what comes up. So let's see, is there any Daily Wire, any, Candace Owens? Is there any, Ben Shapiro coming up? Is there any Fox News coming up? Or even Ground News, which gives the left and right versions of the news. None of this is coming up. What is coming up right now is the following. Surprise, surprise! At the top we have BBC. 6 highlights from Harris-Trump debate. All right, that might be interesting to look at. What are these highlights? Are they highlights making Kamala look good, or are they highlights making both the candidates look good or look bad equally? Who won? So this is the Guardian. Who won? Kamala Harris and Donald Trump's first debate. Our panel reacts. All right, that's something else. That's not really saying much. Next one we have here on the list. All right, CNN flash poll. Majority of debate watchers say Harris outperformed Trump. Wow, really? Did you think CNN would say anything else than that? How predictable, CNN. I must be becoming a psychic. All right, let's go on to the next one. The New York Times. In debate with Trump, Harris's expressions were a weapon. A weapon. Now, what do you mean by a weapon, New York Times? Do you mean a good weapon, if such a thing exists, or a bad weapon? What do you mean by weapon? I'm not even going to open up your page to read the propaganda, but the title alone, I don't know. What is it telling you guys? Me, it's telling me that these expressions were great. Maybe I'm wrong. And personally, what did you think about her expressions? I mean, I spent most of the debate watching Kamala, just for her facial expressions. Trump, on the other hand, yeah, he had a few expressions here or there, but nothing we've never seen before, nothing kind of like out of the norm. Kamala, on the other hand, these expressions of grandeur, or maybe smirking, doing her condescending laugh, looking at him like, oh my God, he's so crazy. Yeah, I mean, all I can say is, for me, while I was watching the debate, that was the thing I was watching, and that was the thing that was annoying me the most, and that was the thing that I felt probably harmed her the most. And like, with the amount of boot camp training she's had over the last 2 months, probably daily for hours on end, that's the best she could do in that debate. Yeah, she didn't do badly. But hold on a minute, guys. That was after like 2 months at least of training like a soldier. Boot camp, political boot camp. So it's not great. I mean, do you think Trump's been training like she has? No. Apparently she was training in a location. I mean, maybe Trump was doing the same. I don't know. But from what I can kind of gather from the way Trump is, first of all, Trump doesn't get nervous in front of the crowd. He knows what he's talking about. He's quick on his feet. He doesn't fall into the whole word salad thing. So really, it wasn't a fair debate because she wasn't being herself, which we can get into later, but she wasn't being herself. She was being a trained actress, ready for a big role. She underwent what an actor goes through in Hollywood, or for a big budget, or even a not big budget film sometimes. Then you train daily and train to get the role perfect. And that's what she's done. Do you think Trump has trained for this role like a boot camp, like a soldier in boot camp? No, he hasn't, because he hasn't had to, because he's telling the truth. He's actually speaking from his heart. He really does want to make America a better place. And just, look at the fact that he has a family. He actually wants America to be great because he has grandkids. Kamala doesn't have grandkids or kids. So the future could be great or not great. Who cares? When she's gone, she's gone. Somebody with kids has really a lot more at stake when they can think about the future generations. But the truth be told is her voice was annoying and her facial expressions were annoying. They were not her. Trump was always him, as he always is. Kamala, she's not always Kamala. She's whatever we need her to be, or whatever the people want her to be. If she needs to be extreme right, as I've said in another video, or extreme left to get that position, she will do it. If tomorrow they said to her, you will be president, but only on the condition you decide to be an extreme right dictator, she will do it. She will be whoever she needs to be to get the vote and to get this high prestigious, pretty much the highest, most prestigious job on planet Earth. Who wouldn't want it? Well, a lot of people wouldn't want it. I know I wouldn't. But somebody who has been like her, trying to be in the spotlight for most of her life, yes, of course, she wants it. It's not about ruling the world. It's just an ego thing, in my opinion, for her. But it all goes back to the fact that she's never herself.
You better thank a union member.
Donald Trump is always himself. And we know this also from the accents, thinking she's the next Malcolm X, or thinking she's talking to her, she's a black pastor talking to her congregation on a Sunday.
For the 5-day work week, you better thank a union member for sick leave. You better thank a union member for paid leave. You better thank a union member for vacation time.
Oh, how many accents are we going to hear from her in this campaign? Well, we got 2 in just a few hours today. Let's hear her. Let's hear how she spoke in Pittsburgh and then Boston. See if you can detect the subtle difference.
So, friends, 64 days. Let's just get through the next 64 days. How about that?
Meryl Streep, eat your heart out. Kamala is so authentic.
So her voice and her expressions to me were not a weapon. They were nothing that scared me. They didn't look intelligent. They didn't look presidential. She just doesn't ooze anything of a leader. Donald Trump does, and he's done it before. And as everyone keeps mentioning, that's willing to tell the truth. The proof is in the pudding. Look at the numbers. Look at what he did when he was in office compared to what's going on now while she's in office. And saying what she's going to do when she could be doing it now or have done it for the last 3.5 years. This is what everyone's been talking about. I don't need to go on with that anymore. But I do want to mention that this whole thing with her, with her expressions, to me, was really annoying. I commented somewhere about how she really reminds me of like a teacher, like those really annoying teachers that used to talk down on their students and give them extra homework, and who used to think they could treat their students however they wanted because they were the teacher. Well, that's kind of her, but like she's doing it because she's the VP. You can just see it oozes out of her pores. It oozes out of her smirk and her face and her expressions and even the tone of her voice. It oozes from her how superior she thinks she is to people. And she tries so hard to act the role of the caring person who grew up in the middle class in Canada, by the way. She's more Canadian than anything. But it's all fake. And anybody who is willing to just look at her just as a human being and the way she behaves, the way she speaks, the way she moves, the things she says, it's so obvious she's not a genuine person. And then we can take it a step further and say, obviously it's not genuine when you look at how many times, okay, yes, Trump has changed a little bit, swayed on a few things. He's given the reason why. With the abortion, it was because he's really concerned about the 9-month abortion. 7-8-9-month abortion. So that's why he went back and forth on the abortion issue. Kamala, she has gone back and forth on many things and never given a proper reason as to why she's gone back and forth. And not only that, we have just watched an entire debate where Trump kept trying to bring up really important things like the border, which she, from the very beginning of the speech, said, oh, by the way, he's going to keep bringing it up because she doesn't want him to, because she's not going to look good. That's the one thing that's not going to make her look good. So he keeps trying to talk about things that matter, the economy and all the rest. I don't know what this woman talks about. She mentioned a few things, but she only mentioned things that are kind of like clickbait for people. Oh, $25,000 for your first home. Like anybody who hears that, that's like not wealthy or even current middle class, is going to be like, hell yeah, I want my own house. 25,000, awesome. That's just clickbait, and there's no promise behind it. And what happened with the student loans as well? The same thing, clickbait. Clickbait again. What do we have clickbait for? So she was saying, I think it was like $4,000 or $5,000 for a new family, for a new baby, to buy the things people need. Maybe it was less than that, I can't remember. But again, clickbait. Everything she is taught, the only few things she did mention were clickbait. And she then did not mention how she was going to do that. Yes, you can sit here and say, I'm going to get every American $100,000. I'm going to make everyone in America happy. I'm going to make every homeless person live in a house and have a weekly income. You can say things, but how are you going to do them? So I'm interested in all these things Kamala was talking about, but how is she going to do them? Trump is constantly asked, why wasn't she asked? And not only that, Trump doesn't need to be asked. He always tells us how he's going to do things. So there we go. Back again to the whole article in debate with Trump. Harris's expressions were a weapon. I don't think so. I think she was like an annoying teacher that gives you too much homework and talks to you in a really condescending way. So I honestly think it didn't help her. As far as her performance, she did well because of all her training. But quite honestly, I want to see her do a debate with no training, but that's too late now because she's had the training. But I would have liked to have seen her the way Trump has been doing his rallies, and doing interviews, JD as well, without all the training she's had. The reason one person might need so much training is because, one, they're lazy and they haven't done the training beforehand, which we know about.
She had a reputation amongst the trial lawyers of being lazy.
The second reason you might need to do that much training is because you're lying and you've got to figure out what you're going to tell people and how to not get stuck or caught on your lies. So in that case, that would require a lot of memorization, and a lot of training. So everything she spoke about was memorized. She had a bunch of memorized monologues. She was possibly and probably paraphrasing for sure, but she had them. She's been practicing them for 2 months, and they've been figuring out for 2 months how they're going to answer different questions that are almost impossible to answer, being that she was, for example, in this administration with open borders and now is like a staunch, anti-immigration border person. And, defunding the police, she was shaking her head. Hello, we have video footage, lady, of all these things that you're shaking your head about. We have video footage that cannot be erased. It's everywhere. How can you lie and then just keep lying? At least if you're going to lie, then give a reason. Oh yeah, I did believe in defund the police, but the reason I changed on that is because of ABC. Because if you don't give us a reason, then how can we believe you? So yeah, for me, I don't know, those expressions, please tell me more. I know I keep going on and on about it, but those expressions were really annoying. And I think most people would see her as a really hoity-toity, uppity, upper class lady that's totally not connected with real people. And you can say whatever you want about Trump. So she loved throwing out that whole thing about being handed $400,000. By the time you think about the cars that were bought for her, just the lifestyle she had when she was dating Willie Brown. I spent time in California during that time that Willie Brown was mayor, and I can tell you, he was the king of San Francisco. He was the king. In the liberal world, of course, which was the world I was in at the time, but he was the king, and she was his girlfriend, his mistress. So, she wants to talk about $400,000. How about we talk about her money and gains from dating certain people in the public eye? So it wasn't just Willie Brown, it was Martell, who at that time was at the height of his career and on all the red carpets, and she has been photographed on at least one of the red carpets with him. So, you want to talk about that. What did he do with that money? Look what he did. He built an empire. So what have you done? Have you employed people? Have you built an empire? What have you done, Kamala? Because all I can see is that you have had a lot of relationships that have helped you get places. You haven't made something tangible of what was given to you.
I don't see any case law she made as an attorney or running the district attorney's office in a large city. I don't see in private practice pro bono when early years before she got into prosecuting that made a difference. I don't see any innovation in law that she's responsible for. I don't see any reform of criminal justice that she could have done a whole lot about. I don't see any of that. So what did she do?
Yes, your father might have had, Black and Indian heritage, for sure. I'm willing to say that yes, he did. But let's look at the other half of your father, Irish. So what I want to know is, why are you not running as first Irish American female presidential nominee? I mean, wouldn't that make just as much sense as first Black American presidential nominee? Actually, it would make more sense because you're not actually Black American. You are Jamaican. American. I don't know. It gets very complicated. But I get it, Kamala. I get it. I'm in the same position. I come from a lot of different backgrounds. It's confusing. It's difficult. But you've got to go with the main ones, which are Indian and Canadian, I'm afraid, girl. You've got to do it. So now let's go on with some more legacy media. So the next one I have here is we asked undecided voters who won the Trump-Harris debate. And that was Wall Street Journal. I'm not even going to open it because we know the answer. We know that they're going to say that Trump did a terrible job and Kamala did a great job. Let's go on to Trump allies do damage control. Ooh, do they? Trump allies do damage control as Harris rides fresh momentum post-debate. Really, does she? According to who exactly? According to CNN, of course. Let's go on to the next one. So Trump says the Harris debate was rigged. ABC should lose license. And that was CNBC, so NBC. He's not wrong, but of course they're trying to paint him in the way that they did, the other times, as like a crazy, dictator, of course. I mean, of course he thought it was rigged. A lot of us did. Why were they fact-checking him and not fact-checking Kamala? Of course he thinks that. I mean, they were only fact-checking Trump. They fact-checked him, I think, at least 4 times. They never fact-checked her once. Why is that? And then they kept asking him questions along the lines of, oh, well, you said this back 5 years ago. Why did you say it? And what are you going to say in response to it now? How? We gotcha. Why didn't she get any of those? Why didn't she get any pushback? Oh, no, because you know what? As Tulsi Gabbard said, they are always handling her with kid gloves. That's what she had last night, and that's what she's had in the interview with Walsh. That's what she's had from day one. She's been handled with kid gloves. It seems like we need to always handle the Democratic Party with kid gloves or elderly gloves. I mean, even with Biden, what happened with Biden? He didn't get indicted for anything. Why? Because he's elderly, and he probably wouldn't be up to it, or he didn't maybe quite understand what he did was wrong because he's elderly. Trump is just a few years younger, and he got indicted. So, the kid gloves, the elderly gloves, this has got to stop. Or at least we just have to come to terms with the fact and all accept it and say it out loud and scream it out of the rooftops that that's what's going on. Kid gloves with the Democratic Party at all times. So, now to end today, what I want to actually do is show you my favorite part of the debate. So as you know, Kamala just gets on my nerves. And let me tell you, it's very rare for me to find people that really, really get on my nerves. It's not a normal thing for me, but this woman really hurts me. So, so my thing that I cannot stand is this footage here.
The president wanted people to remain calm.
Well, let's get
But Susan, this is important.
Susan,
I want to
have to
add,
weigh
but
in
Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking.
I have to
I'm
weigh in.
speaking.
Yep.
Let's talk about packing the court then. Let's talk about the
Please.
fact. Yeah, I'm about to. $400,000
He said
a
he's going to
year.
repeal the Trump tax cuts.
Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking.
Well,
I'm speaking.
it'd be important if you said the truth.
If you don't mind letting me finish, we can then have a conversation, okay?
The most annoying video on the internet right now in 2024 is that video. I'm talking. Yeah, excuse me. I'm talking. So condescending. But this is her. This is the real Kamala.
I'm speaking.
The facial expressions that we saw and this video. This is Kamala being Kamala. Condescending, smug, smirking. This is Kamala. Is this the type of person you want to be a president? I know we shouldn't be choosing a candidate based on their personalities, but really a person who looks down their nose at other people, like normal, regular, everyday people because of her position, it's so obvious that that's what she does. Or because she's a woman or a person of color, she thinks she has some hierarchy. I don't want anybody being in charge that thinks they're better because of the color of their skin or because of their gender or their sexual preference or because of their job. I don't care if you're an investment banker or a surgeon or a gardener. Like, talk to me like a normal person and don't think you're better than me. That's what the American people want. Somebody that's on their level. And that's why Trump can speak to them. Okay, yeah, so she tried to do the $400,000 thing. But you know what? That didn't work, as we talked about before, because Trump made something of that money. And the truth is, she's been kind of in the law and politics arena since pretty much she finished college. Trump, on the other hand, he has grown up around construction workers going on site. I'm not saying he knows the life of a construction worker, but he has been on the same level talking to people like construction workers and people on site, etc., in the job that his father did and he did for most of his life. So he knows those people. He knows how to talk to them. He knows what their concerns are. Kamala hasn't been in that world. She's been in a world of politics and law. And I can tell you already from when people are in law school, they already have an ego about them. I've met people in law school. I have had friends in law school. Same happens in medical school. The minute people get into law school or medical school, they're in that little circle with their other med students or law students, and life continues on like that in those same circles. And from the minute they're in university, they're already thinking that they're better than everybody else because they're going to be a lawyer or they're going to be a surgeon. So she's been in that world from the beginning. Whereas Trump, he might have been wealthy, but he has been around that world of construction. Not only to mention, let's talk about rich people and nouveau riche. And this is a real thing. You see it with rappers and people that make a lot of money, celebrities that suddenly go from being poor to super rich. Kamala was never poor, by the way. Her parents had good jobs. Her mother was her mother a biologist or a professor? Her father, they had good jobs, as all pretty much Indians that come to places like Europe and Australia and the US. So she never struggled financially. And yeah, we know Trump never struggled financially either. But the truth is that once Kamala was in that world, that legal world, and started to make money, she went from middle class to wealthy. She's a nouveau riche. And quite honestly, she's acting like one. People who are nouveau riche, newly wealthy, they tend to show their money. They tend to want power. They tend to want more out of life. They tend to think they're better than other people, more than actually people that have had money their whole life or for generations. And this is a known fact about nouveau riche, new wealthy people. So anyway, what I want to do right now is show you my favorite part of the debate, which was actually Trump brilliantly, I thought. He did it in such a good way. He didn't go over the top, and he got the message through about I'm speaking. I'm speaking. See you guys on the next podcast.
So we don't have to talk about that. Fracking, she's been against it for 12 years. Defund the police, she's been against that forever. She gave all that stuff up very wrongly, very horribly, and everybody's laughing at it, okay? They're all laughing at it. She gave up at least 12 and probably 14 or 15 different policies. Like, she was big on defund the police. In Minnesota, she went out, wait a minute, I'm talking now, if you don't mind, please. Does that sound familiar? Wow. She went out.